Hello, everybody, and welcome to our deep dive webinar on drugs and medical devices accessing GBA pathway via Hong Kong. Today, we'll be discussing how innovative medicines and biomedical technologies are making their way into southern China's most affluent region, and how Hong Kong's is facilitating access for medical device manufacturers and pharmaceutical companies. We're very fortunate to be joined by two esteemed guest speakers, both of whom are intimately involved in the development and deployment of the latest technologies into Hong Kong and Greater China, including via overseas investment, the support of local startups in Hong Kong, and co-incubation projects involving overseas firms and local talent. I'm Hamish, I'm CEO at Cisema. I'm a lawyer by training, qualified in Australia and in Hong Kong, which has been my home for the last 9 years.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I've been with Cisema Hong Kong for 5 years, and I'm currently the lead to support our customers with Hong Kong and GBA projects.
Hi, my name is Anthony, and I'm the sales director for North America at Cisema. Pleasure to have everyone on the webinar.
We're very pleased to be joined by Dr. Grace Lau, head of the Institute for Translational Research at Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. She will shortly speak on HKGBA developments. Hello, Grace.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be speaking to you all.
Thank you. She's been tirelessly working to establish Hong Kong as a preeminent hub for biomedical innovation, product development, and commercialization. Grace is a leader in the biopharma industry with 20 years experience spanning clinical research, regulatory affairs, sales and marketing, and general management responsibilities across different market environments. We're likewise pleased to be joined by Andy Wong, and Anthony, maybe you could provide a bit more detail here.
Andy leads a team of technology specialists with a key focus to attract and facilitate overseas investment in Hong Kong. His technology clusters include biotech and biomedical, medical devices and healthcare services, among others. Prior to InvestHK, Andy was a consulting director at PwC and a strategy director at Cisco Systems, providing consulting services to multinational corporations undertaking business transformation. Please extend a warm welcome to Andy. We're very pleased to have both Grace and Andy on the webinar with us today.
Hello, everyone. My pleasure to join. Thank you for your invitation.
Just very briefly, our company, to set the scene, we're a regulatory affairs provider for China and Hong Kong, SAR. We were founded 20 years ago by a former German Siemens engineer, and we have a broad sector scope. This is the perspective that our colleagues, Jackie, Anthony, and myself, will be bringing today to our presentation, as informed and supplemented by our esteemed experts in addition.
This will be a 50-minute presentation with time for Q&A. We will first introduce the HKGBA pathway for drugs and devices coming into southern China, including the approval mechanisms and increasingly streamlined requirements. We will then break down the approval trends, looking at the institutions importing medicines and medical equipment and the indications for which they have been approved. Our guest speakers shall address how local and foreign companies are using Hong Kong as a hub to enter the GBA. In particular, how our city is availing itself of its status as an attractive commercial center and administratively unique base, now buttressed by improved R&D infrastructure, enhanced regional connectivity, and regulatory reforms, making it easier to bring cutting-edge care to both the private and public sector. There will be a chance for one quick question directly following each guest speaker. Following that, we shall examine a few case studies of the specific drugs and devices having an impact on quality of life for those afflicted by common illnesses and age-related conditions most relevant to the GBA, with some time for Q&A at the end.
And now to go over to the GBA pathway. Here you can see how a Hong Kong MDA CS listing through to China-wide approval might work. A product should first be listed in Hong Kong. Since 2024, it has essentially become mandatory to get MDAX listing for sales to public hospitals. Manufacturers then need to offer their product for tender to the designated Hong Kong-owned hospitals in the Greater Bay Area. An application is then made to the Guangdong MPA, the Medical Products Administration. Currently, the designated medical institutions play a key role in submitting the application of Hong Kong medical devices on behalf of the applicant to obtain the Guangdong MPA's approval. With the introduction of the HK-GBA Connect scheme, the entire process of bringing medical devices and drugs to the Greater Bay Area from Hong Kong will speed up significantly, and it is important to recognize the value of establishing effective communication with the GBA medical institutions. Once the product is approved by the Guangdong MPA to enter the Greater Bay Area market, sales in the GBA designated medical institutions can begin. This will allow the manufacturer to start collecting real-world data within the GBA, as in within mainland China, which will be especially useful for evaluating any ethnic differences if and where this is required. This may later enable the NMPA application to be submitted based on real-world data and thereby circumvent the need for clinical trials in China.
We can get an idea of the market size of Hong Kong and the GBA by comparing the population size to countries in Europe as a proxy for the market potential. Hong Kong's population is a bit less than that of Switzerland. However, the population of the Greater Bay Area exceeds the UK's and is closer to that of Germany or even Turkey. The population density is much greater, with most of the major healthcare institutions and their satellite clinics in close proximity to each other. As of August 2024, about 15,000 pharmaceuticals and about 5,000 medical devices were actively listed in Hong Kong, and we expect the number of Hong Kong applications to continue to increase substantially in parallel to Greater Bay Area developments. As of June 2024, 67 medical devices and drug products in total have obtained GBA pathway approval to be used in the designated hospitals. We have yet to hear what drugs and devices are included in the 7th batch of approvals, which contains almost 10 of the new approvals. That should be public information shortly. Based on the prerequisites for GBA approval applications, only products procured or already in use within public hospitals in Hong Kong and Macau are eligible for consideration, underscoring the significance of being listed or registered in Hong Kong. Products should be urgently required for clinical use, with innovative and advanced technologies favored in the criteria for import. Further, there are some pharmaceutical products that simply do not qualify for import, such as anabolic agents, peptide hormones, etc., as outlined in the catalogue of anesthetic drugs, psychoactive drugs, and stimulants. During the application process, the designated medical institutions in the GBA must clearly define the intended use, clinical usage, summary of adverse reactions, along with other risk assessments. These will be closely examined to ensure safety and efficacy of newly imported products. The management system within designated medical institutions and how the product is used internally are also important factors for the regulatory authority to consider before granting approval. In the next slide, we will talk a bit more about the advantage of pre-approval filing of product information to the Guangdong MPA, database that may help simplify the GBA application process. Over to you, Jackie.
Thanks. So the purpose of the pre-filing is to facilitate the application process for designated medical institutions seeking to import Hong Kong, Macau drugs and medical devices. By providing quick access to necessary research data, this streamlined process can reduce the preparation time for the GBA application and thereby encourage participation from overseas marketing authorization holders. For drugs, they should be already listed in Hong Kong or Macau, urgently needed for clinical use and not subject to import permits such as those for anesthetic drugs, psychoactive drugs, and stimulants. For medical devices, they should be listed, procured, or even already used in public hospitals in Hong Kong or Macau, and possess advanced clinical application technologies. The filing process for pre-approval involves completing the necessary application forms and providing relevant materials as per the requirements outlined in the data checklist. Once submitted, designated medical institutions can apply for authorization to access the data for internal assessment and application preparation. The Guangdong MPA oversees the management of the database and ensures the authenticity and completeness of the submitted materials. The establishment of the pre-approval database represents a significant step forward to provide a centralized platform for accessing essential research data, expediting the import and use of urgently needed products, and ultimately improving healthcare delivery in the region.
The official announcement about HK-GBA integration dates back to November of 2019. The Hong Kong government issued a press release welcoming the 16 policy measures introduced by the central government to permit the use of Hong Kong registered drugs and medical devices in Hong Kong owned healthcare institutions in the GBA. Then, in September 2020, it was announced that the University of Hong Kong Shenzhen Hospital would be the first institution in the GBA to use HK registered drugs and devices on a pilot basis starting from January 2021. The regulatory measure for the GBA pathway was officially announced for implementation in August of 2021. 4 designated medical institutions in the GBA were then added to the list, with another 14 added in February of 2023. There were 2 other important announcements to note from late 2023, both coming from the Chief Executive's policy address. The first was the creation of the Hong Kong Centre for Medical Product Registration, or CMPR. And the second was to establish the Greater Bay Area International Clinical Trial Institute. Both are planned for completion in 2024. The end goal is to upgrade the CMPR to a standalone statutory body while accelerating the launch of new drugs and medical devices to the market. In simple terms, to make Hong Kong more like a primary rather than just a secondary evaluator in terms of regulatory status, by having Hong Kong to directly approve applications for registration of medical products on clinical trial data without relying solely on registration approval from other drug regulatory authorities. The Greater Bay Area International Clinical Trial Institute is envisioned to provide a one-stop clinical trial support platform for medical research institutions. Together with the Shenzhen Municipal Government, the Hong Kong government will explore cooperation with clinical trial networks in the mainland and coordinate clinical trial work according to national and international standards. As you can see, the developments have come in quick succession and are accelerating. They are backed by substantial regulatory reforms. For example, Hong Kong increased the number of recognized national approvals from 32 to 34 countries, and made it so that for products with 2 or more reference country approvals and no reported major adverse events, that they qualified for expedited review for their registration application by the MDD. The expedited approval scheme provides qualifying class 2, 3, and 4 applications with a quicker review. This is accompanied by the 1+ mechanism, which we shall discuss in detail later on. Now to look at the hospitals that have received approvals. At the time of writing, the total number of approved drugs and devices is now at 67, of which 7 have secured nationwide marketing authorization. Some have had their indications expanded or are undergoing clinical trial. We are waiting to hear what 10 items are in the 7th batch of approvals. Hence, our data only reflect up to the 6th batch, which include 57 drugs and devices. You can see that the majority of devices have gone to HKU Shenzhen Hospital in the dark blue, Foshan Fosun Changcheng Hospital, Guangzhou United Family Hospital, Guangdong Provincial People's Hospital, and Sun Yat-sen University Memorial Hospital, along with the Dennis Lam Eye Hospital in Zhuhai. 75% of all approved drugs and devices were imported to these 7 private healthcare institutions in southern China. They are just a stone's throw away from Macau and Hong Kong, accessible by high-speed rail, a fast metro network, multiple ferries, the world's largest super bridge, and by helicopter, which is my preferred mode of transport. To give you some scale, they are accessible within a 500-kilometer loop, which you could cover in less than a day if you started in Hong Kong and finished in Macau.
This is a breakdown of the number of approvals by indication for both drugs and devices. Please note that this chart groups drugs and devices indications into broader categories. For example, CVD drugs and interventional cardiology devices are simply grouped under cardiology. Similarly, COPD and asthma are grouped under respiratory, and radiation dose reduction as a device is grouped under cancer. We also have a list of all the manufacturers so you can see where the drugs and devices are being imported from. Other than GBA, we even have detailed information on national and provincial drug shortage frequency. Please inquire after the show if you would like to know such information.
This is a breakdown of the number of approvals by indication for drugs. CVD, cancer, ophthalmology, along with migraine and insomnia, are among the top indications. Please note that this data includes the number of hospital approvals for the same drug, and so regards both indication and placement frequency, which gives a better indication of the real need. This is a breakdown of the number of approvals by indication for devices. Interventional cardiology, clinical diagnostics, along with ophthalmology and hearing loss are among the top indications. Versus drugs, there are fewer devices that have been approved for use at multiple hospitals, and so the breakdown essentially follows the specialization of centers of excellence within the respective hospitals. For example, Zhuhai Xima Linshenchao Eye Hospital or the Dennis Lam Eye Hospital specializing in ophthalmology, unsurprisingly. The first affiliated hospital of Sun Yat-sen University, hearing loss devices being placed there. Sun Yat-sen University Memorial Hospital for interventional cardiology devices. At the same time, some institutions have received a broader range of drug and device approvals for multiple indications, like HKU Shenzhen Hospital, Foshan Fosun Changcheng Hospital, and Guangzhou Family Hospital. But behind all this, what are the developments driving these new imports and approvals? How do we explain the continued momentum? Firstly, we have had a raw increase in the number of drugs and instruments being imported to a growing list of designated institutions. This has largely been driven by private sector actors in cooperation with local regulators to meet priority clinical needs as identified by local government. Secondly, we've had more countries recognized by the Hong Kong Drug Office for their free sales certificates and certificate of a pharmaceutical product CPP, along with the introduction of the 1+ mechanism. These are effectively a reduction of red tape for the import of pharmaceuticals to Hong Kong, provided key criteria are met. Under the 1+ mechanism, holders of registration from one of the recognized drug regulatory authorities instead of two for drugs containing new chemical or biological entities can apply for registration in Hong Kong on the condition that they can provide local clinical data that complies with the requirements and information as recognized by the local experts. These drugs can then be imported to the GBA. There are then supply-side factors such as talent exchanges that signal a long-term commitment to building up the human capital of the GBA in terms of medical staff training and labor mobility. Accompanying that, there are direct patient incentives such as the recognition of healthcare vouchers issued by the Hong Kong government on the mainland, which has spurred limited medical tourism, especially for some procedures or items that are comparatively more expensive or have a longer waiting list in Hong Kong versus in the GBA. On top of that, there is a reduction in the review wait time, a streamlining of customs clearance, and an official push to provide insurance coverage for HK/GBA imported drugs and new procedures. There is also encouragement from the government for real-world studies to be carried out on GBA-approved products for NMPA registrations and marketing nationwide. This is in fact now already complete for some drugs and devices approved for China-wide marketing. And behind all that, we have the likes of InvestHK and the Institute for Translational Research spearheading the inflow of foreign investment and coordinating private-public cooperation that practically enables these developments to happen. Without these forces operating in Hong Kong, publicizing the openness of the HKGBA Connect scheme, promoting the pro-business stance of Hong Kong, and providing the financial framework and shared resources entrepreneurs and researchers need to succeed, there would be far less opportunity, period, for the GBA ecosystem to succeed. And with that, we move to our esteemed guest speakers, starting with Mr. Andy Wong. I hand over to you, Andy, for your presentation. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Hamad. You listen me well, I guess, right? So, good morning to those who joined from the UK side, and also good afternoon to those who joined from Hong Kong. So, I think in the next 10 minutes, I will try to talk about a bit more about Hong Kong, the kind of business environment in Hong Kong, and also specifically for the life and health science industry. So, a little bit about Invest Hong Kong. So, we are a government department. So our role is to promote Hong Kong and helping companies from the mainland or from overseas who want to set up operation in Hong Kong. So it will be our job to help them to set up in Hong Kong and also expand in Hong Kong. We divide into different industry sectors. So you can see that we have a 9 industry sector. The top tier is about innovation and technology. The middle layer is about financial service. And the last bottom is more interesting for the consumer products, right? So, and I see into the top layer. And we help companies from the planning stage to set up and then they launch. So through our promotion network and also through the media networking event. And also once the company set up in Hong Kong, they want to expand into Southeast Asia or through Hong Kong to China, it will be our job to help them to expand as well. So we have over 30-something office. So we got 5 offices in China, including Beijing, Shanghai, Wuhan, Guangzhou, and Chengdu. And also we have office in London, Paris, and also Berlin and New York, Toronto. So our headquarters is in Hong Kong, but we also have those offices in overseas with the objective to be the point of contact for those clients who are based in overseas. And for us to talk about the life and health science, or we position Hong Kong to become an innovation hub. So why we think that we will become an innovation hub? Because we think that the following 6 factors will make us stand out to be a strong competitive advantage in here. First of all, it's about our academic, our talent. So Hong Kong is a 7 million population, but we have a very top-notch university in Hong Kong. We do have a very good research institute in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong is an international city, so you can see that our work we do in here is collaborate with overseas. So it helps us to work together with global institute to conduct research project in Hong Kong. So you can see that we later on we'll talk about one of the projects which launched a few years ago called Hong Kong. The other, we also have a Hong Kong Genome Institute, which helping us to collect all those whole genome sequencing for 20,000 cases. The second one is about the R&D infrastructure and also incubation program available in here. 2 parts. One is Science Park, which is Dr. Grace. We will talk more about the Science Park. And also we have Cyberport, which is focused more on the AI development. Both parks have their incubation program, also venture fund support. The third one is about our high quality clinical trial, globally recognized PI, and also we have high quality of clinical data and experience of clinical trial methodologies. And then the fourth one is about financial support, the capital. So given that it's a long journey in the life and health science development landscape, so funding is very important. In this case, our funding is covering from the very early stage at the early startup phase to the mid stage, scaling up stage, and even though to the last about the listing in Hong Kong. And then the fifth one is the government is very committed to make Hong Kong to become an innovation hub. So we have a different funding, different incentive available, trying to encourage the company to set up an operation R&D project in Hong Kong. The last one is our strategic location in Hong Kong, so that through Hong Kong, you can reach out to Greater Bay Area, short form is GBA, or China, and also to other Asian market as well. So talking about the university, so 5 university, if you are familiar with Hong Kong, so we have 5 university called Hong Kong University, Chinese University, University of Science and Technology, Polytech, and also CTU. They are ranked the top 70 according to the QS ranking. And for certain subjects, we stand out even a bit higher. We have 2 top-notch medical school. One is Hong Kong University, the other is Chinese University. So they nurture top talent people who are in the medical field. So I mentioned earlier, it's about one of the project called Inno Hong Kong. So we set up this Inno Hong Kong a few years ago with the investment amount of 1.28 billion US dollar. So we set up 2 clusters. One cluster focused on life and health science. The other is focused on the AI robotics. So add up together is 39 centers. Each center have a specific project, specific topic for the research and development. In the healthcare side, is focusing on the novel therapy, in oncology, in eye disease, neurodegenerative, stem cell, etc. And then AI, we also have something for the AI for analysis the healthcare data as well. So each center is formed by one of the local university together with a university overseas, either 1 or 2, depending on the center. But up together, we connected with top 30 top institutions to conduct those research and development, acquiring around 3,000 academics to work on those projects. So Hong Kong is truly a global collaboration in terms of R&D development. Talk about the hardware, right? So Hong Kong is not big, right? So first of all, Hong Kong is a metropolitan city. And the beauty of metropolitan city is that people are getting very close together. So we can have a couple of meetings within a day. In terms of the hardware, right? I mentioned earlier is about Cyberport and also Science Park, Hong Kong Science Park. And then what we are doing in the future or now is we're building more space, more R&D or innovation-related hardware infrastructure. One is called Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, which is about 87 hectares, which is 3 to 4 times bigger than the Hong Kong Science Park. If you've been to Hong Kong, you know the Science Park is well constructed, very fully occupied, very mature, but it's also reaching the maximum capacity. So we need new space, and that's why we put the establishing the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park. The beauty of this park is that the strategic location, which is right next door to Shenzhen. So it's just divided by a river between Hong Kong and also Shenzhen. And the idea is to combine the synergy between Hong Kong and also Shenzhen. So in the future, we are developing some innovative measure, allowing some free flow of capital, people, and sample to be in this park, so that the R&D people can work in the same park, leveraging the benefit from both sides, right? So it's more innovative facilitation measure will put in place into this park in the future. And then so as you can see on this map, the orange color represent the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, and the red color representing the Shenzhen side, which is the similar park to be established in the Shenzhen side. So these two add up together will become the cooperating zone. So we'll be working together and then trying to drive the innovation in this area. And the bigger size from Hong Kong is also shown in orange color. It's called Sunti Telopole. We are going to build a community in this area. Right now it's a bit more industrial, but we are going to renovate or rejuvenate or re-establish to become INT, Innovation and Technology driven. So it will occupy about 300 hectares. And then for the red dotted line is called Northern Metropolis. Hong Kong, as you know, is stand out to be innovation international financial center. So this is occupied in the what we call CBD area in the southern part of Hong Kong. And Hong Kong by itself, we want to expand our economy. So one way is to do that is to further develop in the innovation as an industry. So that's why we will position our northern part of Hong Kong to become more innovation, INT, innovation and technology driven. That's what we call northern metropolis. So another part that we stand out to be a very unique for the life and health development is that we have a very good quality, high quality public health and hospital service. We're running what we call efficient dual track healthcare system. Majority inpatient will be served by the public hospital, but we also have private hospital serving 10% of the patient in Hong Kong. So this become a good balance of to address the patient need in Hong Kong. And also we have a different digital healthcare service, including apps, application called HK Go, and also telehealth. And also one more important is we got a 30 years over kind of patient data, which is all in good shape, in good format, is stored, is ready for R&D functions. We talk about clinical trial, right? So we have a good professional service, investigator, and also high quality clinical data. One unique factor Hong Kong has is because we are bilingual. So we spoke English and Chinese language, which is very good to bridge between the overseas and also China. Hong Kong is bilingual. And also we collaborate very well with Global Pharma and also CRO in Hong Kong. We have around 10 hospitals will conduct the clinical trial. And out of those 10, 4 of them are NMPA, which is the China FDA accredited hospital. So those some of the clinical trial carried out in those centers can be recognized by the China FDA or NMPA. Another part Hong Kong stand out to be very strong is about the funding support. So you can see that we cover different phase along the development from the venture capital side. So the government itself, we have venture fund, 2 billion Hong Kong dollar fund, is a co-investment fund, so that one portion will be invested by the government, and then the 2 portion will be invested by our co-investment partner for investing into the technologies, right? Corporate itself, the Science Park and Cyberport, they also have the venture fund to invest into their company who located in either Science Park or Cyberport. The university, they have their venture fund to invest into those projects. Also, we encourage the university to spin off a certain research project. So we got a program called TISU, which is also a funding support to those universities to spin off their R&D. And then by the time the company moving to a more Series A, B, C, D kind of stage, so one way is that the government, Hong Kong government recently set up a Hong Kong Investment Corporation with a total funding size of Hong Kong dollar 62 billion into 4 different funds to invest either into fund of fund or invest into the company. So the idea is that we want to allocate certain money to those strategic companies with a future, with an objective to further develop, to contribute over the long-term economy of Hong Kong, so that the government will invest into those companies directly through this Hong Kong Investment Corporation. And then there's another one called Raise Plus Scheme, which the full name is a Research Academic and Industry Sector 1 Plus Scheme. So 10 billion Hong Kong dollar is a matching fund to fund those spin-off projects from the university. So those universities will partner with industry. So the industry, they have a certain research topic. They want to work together with the university. They can apply those funding and then will be funded by the government. And the model will be a matching fund. So it depending on the stage of the project. So it could be usually if from the early stage 1 is more risky, so the government is willing to put more money into this phase 1, so it will be 2 to 1 kind of a matching funding scheme, and then to the phase 2, by the time the product is going to commercialize, will be 1-to-1 matching scheme. And then later on, by the time the company is grow well, and then prepared to be listing, then Hong Kong is ideal platform for listing because we, apart from the main board listing, and we also have another funding scheme called Chapter 18A. It's a pre-revenue, pre-profit biotech company listing rules to allow companies to list on the stock exchange, and through that they can further sponsor their project. So usually the company who pass phase 1 without any negative, then moving on to phase 2 will be eligible to apply Chapter 18A for listing. So we talk about Hong Kong government is very also providing very comprehensive funding support, including the startup phase that I mentioned earlier, and then under the research and development, there will be a matching fund and some tax deduction for the R&D, etc. One thing I want to mention under here is that if the company who set up a R&D team, and then for that team, up to 4 research people can have subsidized from the government. The maximum amount will be a person who got a doctor who's a PhD level, and then that person can have, or the company can have the 45,000 Hong Kong dollar per month to subsidize the salary for hiring this PhD person. And for that project team, a maximum will be 4 people and can last for 3 years. And then when we move on to the later on for the manufacturing, then government will have certain subsidies for building the production line. In Hong Kong, one specific is for the manufacturing or establishing a production line. The maximum amount could be 200 million Hong Kong dollar for setting up a new production line in Hong Kong. So almost the last slide is to talk about the GBA, right? So give a snapshot about the GBA. So the GBA is a 9+2 concept. 9 meaning it's 9 mainland city in the Guangdong area, what we call Greater Bay City, and also 2 other one is Hong Kong, the other is Macau. The reason why we distinguish the 9+2 because these 2, Hong Kong and Macau, and also the 9 are different jurisdiction. We have different currency, we have different rule of law, so that's why we make 9+2 concept. But altogether is 86 million population, 56,000 kilometers square, and generating a GDP of 1.9 trillion, which is 11%, already 11% of total China. As you can see, the middle part, the box of GBA is just a small part of China, but it already represents 11% of the whole China GDP. We want to make use of this GDP, so we have different initiatives to have a synergy between Hong Kong and also the GBA area. So one is that the physical infrastructure I mentioned earlier is the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park, or the park that work closely together with the Shenzhen. So we call it cooperating zone. It's a physical area, allow people to travel there to work easily, and also cross-border capital flow, and also we'll have an exchange of data and biosample. We are working on it for the innovative facility measure. Not yet happened today, but we are working on it to make it happen. The second one is about Inno Health Tech Hub that we are going to put aside $1.2 billion to build the Inno Life Health Tech Hub in that particular Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park area. The third one is that we have the policy recently set up to allow us to leverage the resources in GBA for clinical trial, because Hong Kong remains a 7 million people and the population will be limited. So we want to make use of the Hong Kong clinical trial experience together with GBA quality, the clinical resources to make the whole size to become bigger. And then the last one is about Medical Connect that Kasma mentioned earlier. The last slide is about the Hong Kong is an international city. So I think based on the latest figure, we have around 9,000 multinational companies located in Hong Kong. Some of them are the headquarters in Hong Kong. So we are international financial center, trading center. We have a stable currency, largest RMB offshore is in Hong Kong. We have no tariff on import-export, and we have free trade agreement. Tax rate is very low, 16.5, or if you earn less than 2 million, it's only 8.25 proper tax and no other tax. We use common law, and also we have strong intellectual property protection. Last is we are a very metropolitan city, so people enjoy living in here because it's an East meets West culture in Hong Kong. So I just stop here. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Andy, for your presentation there. In respect of time, we are going to move on directly to our next speaker. Please, can you give a warm welcome to Dr. Grace Lau from the Institute for Translational Research. And Grace, I hand over to you. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. I'll try to give a very quick update on what Hong Kong STP does and how we can support startups, from the very early stage to your commercialization. So just a very quick update on HKSTP. So we are a corporation fully owned by the Hong Kong government. So I think you all know, have heard of Science Park. So Science Park is the R&D base for the whole corporation. But down the road, when you go into more commercialization, go into manufacturing, Hong Kong STP also manages 3 industrial parks, or what we call inno parks. And there are manufacturing centers dotted around Hong Kong. So there's one in Tai Po, one in Yuen Long, and one in Tseung Kwan O. So in these parks, there are manufacturing in the GMP area, in microelectronics, etc. So altogether, Hong Kong STP can support companies from the early R&D phase down to commercialization and to manufacturing. And recently, we also opened a branch in Shenzhen in Phúc Thiền. So that's a small park in Shenzhen to allow us this exchange. Hong Kong companies going into China, and for China company to go international, to go global. So very quick snapshot for the whole Hong Kong STP. We're fairly mature, as you heard. We have over 2,000 companies already under the care of the whole Hong Kong STP. We have a very vibrant place in Science Park here. We have over 24,000 people working in the whole park. So you would see lots of young people, researchers, different companies working in Science Park. I won't cover a lot of these. There's a lot of information or data. So we nurture startups from the very, very small, when they first spin off from universities or first land in Hong Kong, to when they are growing further into small to medium size. And many of them actually grow further down the road and become unicorns. So we have our own homegrown unicorns, as well as attracting international unicorns to our park. Very international. We have companies coming from 28 different countries and regions from all around the world. I would mention about the venture fund later, as mentioned briefly by Andy already. So the Hong Kong STP also has a venture fund, and we select the best ones to invest in every year. So this is the journey of a startup, and throughout the whole journey that they can enjoy different kinds of support in Science Park. From the very, very early stage, when they're just professors, a research team, we welcome into Science Park to be more nurtured in the entrepreneurial mindset, help them to think through how they can structure their business case so they can enter the ideation phase just a year long with very little funding, but they can form properly their company and to get the business case together. After a year-long program, they can apply to our incubation program. There are 2 tracks in Science Park. One is a bio-specific incubation program, and we call it IncuBio. And the other one is non-bio. And I'll talk a little bit more about the bio track. And when they graduate after 4 years, they can apply to stay in Science Park as a tenant, and if they qualify, they can apply to our acceleration program. And the last stage would be as an elite program, elite company, ready to go commercialization and for global expansion. Throughout this whole journey of development, Science Park offers different things, hardware, software, hardware in terms of different types of labs, shared facilities, data platform, to business support, professional advice, to business opportunities. We have many different types of partners, including large corporations, who would be supporting your commercialization as well as adopting your technology. So let me zoom into the Institute for Translational Research, which is the institute or the group we put together to signify all the biotech companies and biotech ecosystem, and which needs a lot of support during the translational journey. So ITR, we work with all our park companies and also all our different stakeholders around our ecosystem, from government departments, including the Innovation and Technology an industry bureau, and government departments which are most closely related to biotech, like our regulatory authority, the Department of Health, the Drug Office, and the Medical Device Division, etc., and funding organization. So we act as a super connector. The companies who join Hong Kong STP under ITR, we would be able to connect them with different stakeholders around all these different areas, including universities, get investigators for them, and also connect them to regulatory authority and funding, etc. So I would like to give you a snapshot of the latest development. So under ITR, under the biomedical technology ecosystem, I have over 260 companies in our ecosystem, plus also the Inno Hong Kong centers that we talked about. There are 14 health at Inno Hong Kong centers, and also another 3 which are in AIR, the AI and robotic, but they are surgical robots company centers. So altogether, you can imagine we have over 280 companies within the biomedical technology field, and altogether, all these companies, as well as the Inno Hong Kong research centers, we have very vibrant, close to 3,000 workers within the biomedical technology field. And under my institute, we have teams supporting these various companies, and they're divided into the traditional, the therapeutics from small molecules, large molecules, biologics, cell and gene therapy, which we do have a focus, and also medical devices and medical diagnostic, particularly genomic diagnostic, the precision medicines company. So all these together with some CROs, CDMOs, they are all together in a very vibrant biomedical technology ecosystem. So I'll use a little bit of time talk to you about what we have done in the past few years, what we have built to support innovative technologies, whether you're in therapeutics or medical devices, for your development. So we built different suites of laboratories, from basic chemical co-working labs to proteomic labs, genomic core labs, and we have built specific labs for our incubatees, the IncuBio co-working labs. So and cell therapy like flow cytometry labs. So all these were built in the last few years to support the growth and development and the needs for of our biotech companies. And throughout that translational journey, we've also developed different types of services and labs that are required during this journey, from bench to bedside. We have our own biobank, ISO accredited biobank and histopathology service, to a biological resource program that we continue to build and help source and collaborate with different biobanks and biological resource to support research. We also have our own animal lab we call Drug Safety Testing Center. It's a GLP standard preclinical testing lab offering like a CRO service. We can help startups in biomedical technology field to design protocols, deliver the research, and provide you with the research results and project report. And for medical devices, we also started our own medical device testing lab. And the initial phase, we have testing on mechanical testing, stress testing, etc. So this is particularly the support for medical device. And then the other thing we started in the last few years is we invested in the 2 universities to build ATP, Advanced Therapy, GMP manufacturing facilities to support manufacturing of clinical material for clinical trials in the cell therapy area. So these, one is in the University of Hong Kong and the other one in the Chinese University of Hong Kong. So as I mentioned, we have a focus on cell and gene therapy. So I would believe these facilities and services would definitely support the growth of these of biotech companies. So I'll spend a little bit of time talking about the different programs that can help companies in the biotech area. So first of all, I mentioned the IncuBio program. So it's a 4-year program. So it's not just a funding program, although it does provide at the maximum 6 million Hong Kong dollars of funding throughout this 4 years. But it's also a all-round circle of professional services like regulatory, IP service, IP specialist, professional coaching, helping you to do fundraising and doing pitching, etc. So the sole aim of the IncuBio program is to help very good startup with innovation and technology to continue their innovation journey and to have some financial sustainability during this early stage of their R&D. I'll talk a little bit about the co-incubation program, which is very, very important and bringing in the big players as well. But first, the other program that I would like to mention is the Clinical Translational Catalyst Program, the CTC program. So as we move on, we saw a lot of companies, the early stage companies, moving into the IND phase and also moving into the early clinical phase. So a couple of years back, we started launching this Clinical Translational Catalyst Program, and the main objective is to help company move on further with their translational journey. So this is both a funding program as well as a professional network program. For regulatory funding, for both therapeutics as well as medical devices company, we can provide up to 4 million Hong Kong dollars of funding. And for clinical trial, each program, so each clinical trial, companies can apply for this CTC funding, which is a matching funding, up to 8 million Hong Kong dollars for each clinical study. And we also have this CTC professional network with CROs, CDMOs, professionals in regulatory affairs, etc., to help companies understand and know more how to move into the clinical phase and help them stay in Hong Kong to get the right support for their development. So as just a summary from the ideation phase, very early stage, through to IncuBio, to when you grow bigger into the acceleration phase and the elite phase, there are different types of funding and different programs helping companies in Science Park to go through this translational journey. I'd like to pinpoint some programs that are particularly achieved in the last few years to support this journey. I think Andy also mentioned about the very good clinical database in the Hospital Authority in Hong Kong. So outside the two universities, Hong Kong Science Park is the only non-institutional organization that has access to this HA database. So no matter it's for therapeutics or medical devices, it has been it's demonstrated it's very needed by all these startups, biotech companies, to make use of the structured database to explore and help them validate and design protocols, how to use the HA database to do further research. Apart from the Hospital Authority, Hong Kong Science Park also partners with the Department of Health. We signed a memorandum of understanding, and the Department of Health will be continue to look at the different technologies that would be required for the Department of Health. And these large corporations, both Department of Health and the Hospital Authority, actually adopt innovations from Science Park into their organizations and departments. The other initiatives that we drove in the last year is, this report on the right-hand side, driving Hong Kong into a international clinical trial hub. And what Andy also mentioned, the government, since the last policy address, already announced Hong Kong will develop a GBA, Greater Bay Area International Clinical Trial Institute. And this was one of the recommendations from this report. And so Hong Kong Science Park, my team, we support policy development and influence the community and government to drive different initiatives as well. So I won't talk a lot more about this, but this we started this journey, a collaboration with the Hospital Authority. We started the self-service data platform in Science Park, and any park companies, they can apply to use this to access the HA database through the platform that we have set up in Science Park. Now, initially, this is the standard database, the standardized structured database of 200,000 patients. And moving on, we are exploring and working together closely with HA how to move it further to make use of the whole database. So I'll pinpoint a little bit, a few more events or initiatives that would be helpful for companies exploring Hong Kong as a base for further growth. Some of the international companies, for example, HUTCHMED already established their research and development center in Hong Kong, although they have very large centers in China, in Shanghai already. But they would like to make use of a vibrant ecosystem to collaborate and explore further how to work with all the other innovative technology companies. Biomap is another company that landed in Science Park. It's a very large, very ambitious company that would be using big AI models to design proteins. And they also aim to create a lot more collaborations with Science Park companies. So this is probably something that I would want to end with, the IncuBio co-incubation programs. All the incubatees that I mentioned under IncuBio, they have the opportunity to be mentored or work closely with these co-incubation partners that we have built in the last few years, and they've all listed here. Each of our co-incubation partner, they have a different therapeutic area focus, and they would be able to nurture, mentor, sometimes invest, and also connect them to the other innovation hubs that they have around the world. And particularly, for example, like Roche, they would be connecting to the Roche Accelerator in Shanghai, and Shanghai Pharma also invested and built a whole floor of co-incubation labs in Science Park. So these are some of the ways we bring in multinational players in Science Park, and also help our incubatees, our startups, to get global support. On the left-hand side, you would see one of our co-incubation partner, Merck. They have signed this collaboration with one of our startups in Science Park, OSMED, and they would be able to help them commercialize, sales and market, firstly in Hong Kong, but also hopefully further on into the Asia-Pacific region. So we also lately, but not a photo here, we also signed up a collaboration agreement with Huarun, China Resources, to help our companies distribute their products into the Greater Bay Area, as they have a very strong network. Just some photos to show you that we continue to build more collaboration, both locally and also in the GBA area, and make use of our strong international network to help companies, startups to go global and internationalize and commercialize your innovation. I think that's probably about the end of my sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Grace, for your wonderful presentation. We were going to discuss in detail the 1+ mechanism, along with various other news about the GBA regulatory updates that make it easier for foreign players to come to market. We're going to finish off very, very briefly with actually some of the work that has been done. So looking at some of the drugs that have been successfully brought into GBA hospitals with the support of institutions like InvestHK and HKSTP. In this case, we're looking at brolucizumab from Novartis, which basically reduced the number of injections required in the case of diabetic macular edema, much higher patient compliance, and basically restoring the sight to people who are slowly going blind, which is truly a worthwhile endeavor. And that is just a visual representation of one man's progress in terms of reducing the damage done to his eye by age-related degeneration. Then another case, this time for cancer, with a special drug delivery system known as an antibody drug conjugate. This is a very in vogue, new type of innovative medicine. And this is for patients who are vulnerable, can't undergo bone marrow transplants, and they're suffering from a serious disease with limited options. It was brought to HKU Shenzhen Hospital in 2021 and has subsequently been approved for nationwide marketing. This is for familial hypercholesterolemia, which is a common hereditary disorder in China. It's a dyslipidemia that goes undiagnosed. It can kill you 20, 30, 40 years before your time. Again, this has gone in through the GBA Connect scheme and was later NMPA approved for nationwide marketing. It's a subcutaneous injection.
I would like to just reiterate, in particular, Grace and Andy. Grace is one of the leading lights in the Hong Kong ecosystem for a translational research in pharmaceutical area. And Grace, we'd like to thank you very much.
Welcome any interested parties to contact Hong Kong STP, either through myself or through our website.
Thank you, and thank you, Andy. Any last words or contact? What's the best way to contact you afterwards?
That's fine. We are Invest Hong Kong. So if your company would like to set up operation in Hong Kong, feel free to reach out to us. Then we can provide different kind of support, including information, physical, helping you just minor things like a visa application, whatever. And then more important, we do have a networking platform. So next week we will be a busy week. So we do have some event happening on Monday. So it's about MedTech innovation in Hong Kong. So pay attention to our website or whatever. So reach out to us whenever you think that we can help. Thank you.
Thanks very much to the audience and to our guest speakers. Have a lovely evening, morning, afternoon. Take care.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.